So we've got a copper booster and we've got a fiber booster.
Right.
And so just as a note, with the copper booster, we have 8 ports, and these are broken up into 4 taps. And so in this case, if I plug into one and I plug into 2, it's going to pass traffic through there.
Right, so that's an inline connection.
That's going to give us that inline connection. This has dual power supplies, but even if it does lose power, that will continue to pass packets.
Yeah.
So we're not putting something into the network that adds a potential failure point. And this is going to take all 8 of those ports and aggregate it into one 10 gig port.
Right.
And I think one of the big things to note with that is that when we aggregate that, we're only using 80% of that 10 gig. And so if we were trying to do this with a span port and we were spanning that, what we would find is that we could easily oversubscribe that monitor port.
Absolutely.
So in the case of both of these, we are not oversubscribing that output port.
So we can say that's lossless aggregation.
Lossless aggregation. And that helps us preserve that timing of those packets too, because they're not getting queued up to get sent out to the piece of analysis equipment. Now with the fiber booster, we've got 8 1 gig fiber ports that are being aggregated into one 10 gig.
Right.
So in this case, I could take those as inputs from span ports on switches. I could take those as inputs from taps. And one of the things that we know about an inline fiber tap and a copper tap is it breaks that transmit and receive into 2 different sides.
Yes.
So in order to capture with an inline tap, I need to have 2 interfaces that I can bring that into, and it can ensure that those packets are being synchronized together properly.
Right.
And so this allows me to take 8 span ports and pull them into one. I could take those taps and pull them into one connection, and then connect that to another piece of equipment. Now, one of the popular ways is connecting that to a packet broker.
Yes.
Right? Why is that so important?
So I think the important part there is that packet brokers are relatively expensive tools in terms of their bigger appliances. They have a lot of data throughput and a lot of, let's say, processing power that they offer. That means that you want to make the most out of each port that you send traffic towards a packet broker. So in order to do that, you can use an aggregation tab to do some level of pre-aggregation. So before you have your, let's say, all your smaller links that you send up to your packet broker, bring them together, send them out to a packet broker in a condensed package, and up that bandwidth a little bit.
Because the cost of a booster is going to be less than the cost of 8 burning up 8
ports on
the packet broker. You know, we talk about gig and tapping into a gig connection, but there are cases where we may have some old equipment, some very specific equipment that only operates at 100.
Exactly.
Now, can I connect 100 meg to a packet broker?
That will not work.
Okay. So that's problematic. And so one thing I could use the copper booster for is speed conversion. I could use that as a way to take those 100 meg packets, up them to 10 gig, and then send that 10 gig into the packet broker.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately in a monitoring situation, you have many different capture points, and some of them can just happen to be a lower bandwidth scenario, right? So you need to convert that speed before sending it to a packet broker, and this does that for you.
And with being able to pass PoE, I know that one thing that I've used the inline booster for is we were troubleshooting a problem with the Wi-Fi access points, and we needed to capture on the Wi-Fi side and on the wired side. And one of the issues that we ran into was we didn't know what access point we were going to be connected to with roaming and so on. So by being able to tap all 4 of those access points in that area, we knew that we were going to get the traffic on the wired side. We knew that we weren't putting something in there that could take the wireless network down. We were able to bring all of that back into our analysis equipment.
So that makes for a pretty flexible tool, right? So you have your multiple capture points, you know that the data that you're looking for is in there somewhere, you just bring it together.
And I can use this with a packet broker, I could use it with the IOTA 10 gig.
Definitely,
I could use it with any tool that I could connect to that 10 gig port and take that aggregated traffic.
Yeah, I mean, we started off with packet brokers, but of course it's possible to use it as a standalone, some pre-aggregation and straight to a monitoring tool. I think in smaller monitoring applications, definitely worth looking at. And I think on top of that, now we have the models over here with a single output port.
right?
We do have models also with dual output ports. And yeah, like we said earlier, I think it's pretty cool because you have, let's say, all of a sudden 2 options to send that data out somewhere.
Yep.
So what would be a scenario for you? How to
Well, one of the
leverage that?
scenarios I would see with the dual outputs is I've got one of them that is connected to my packet broker. So I've got an SFP in there. I could put a single mode SFP in. I could backhaul that through my fiber infrastructure back to my data center where I've got my packet broker bringing all that traffic in. But if I am out in that wiring closet trying to troubleshoot a problem and I don't want to mess with that network monitoring overlay that I've got,
Yes.
I could come out and I could plug a DAC cable, I could plug a multi-mode SFP into that second one, and I could go in and I could start monitoring with a tool right there in the wiring closet, and I would be able to see all the traffic going through there and not affect the rest of that network monitoring in any way.
I really like that idea. So you're making the booster part of your fixed monitoring infrastructure, but you always have that extra port available for some other monitoring tools that you want to use.
And I guess I think about, with printed circuit boards, a lot of times we'll have a test point on there that we can connect to and monitor what's going on in troubleshooting. This becomes a test point on our network.
Fair point.
Where we have a place that we can plug in. We may not use it very often, but when we do need it, we don't have to disrupt the network to be able to tap in and start seeing what's going on.